Just give
All
us.
right, let's start the Finance Committee meeting on October the 14th at 6 o'clock. Call to order. Roll call, Jenny.
Ben,
Here.
Matt,
Here.
Tammy.
Here.
Okay. Any citizens out there, Michelle?
Not yet.
Okay. Now we need to accept the minutes from the September Finance meeting. Has everybody had a chance to look at them?
Yeah, I didn't have any issues with them.
Nor did I.
And I make a motion that we accept the meetings. I need a second.
I'll second it.
All right. All right, Jenny, the financial report.
Do you want me to do a roll call or do you want to just say all in favor for the minutes?
All in favor? Aye. We can just all say aye or nay. Aye.
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 Okay. Financial reports, the fund statuses are in pretty good shape. There were no adjustments to the cash summary. Our revenues were 210,292, and part of that is because we received the second coronavirus relief check. We did just get another one yesterday, and I don't know. I think it's the final one, but I don't know. Who knows? There could be more next year or something. But I have a spreadsheet put together to file. We're still ordering stuff, so I can't go onto the website and submit everything yet. I want to probably wait till maybe the 19th and make sure that Joe and John are done shopping. Payment.
Any of that money left over is going to have to be appropriated into next year's budget.
Well, if we decide that we're done spending, I'd like to appropriate everything that we have. And if in December we decide that we're done spending, we can do the reimbursement to the county. But, if we're not, then I suppose we would have to appropriate for next year.
Okay.
And we could do that at the January meeting.
All right.
Operating and payroll expenses were $99,081. We don't have the credit card bills yet, but as soon as we do, I'll do that little spreadsheet up and send that out to you. We should be at 75% on overall average for revenue and appropriations. So we're a little bit behind on license tax and permissive still, and the appropriation status looks really good. We're doing great. And everything, the balances for the water and sewer and the bank, everything balanced. So we're good there. But did anybody have any questions on these reports?
I had a couple questions and I'm trying to pull it up. On the fund status, when you look at on the fund status report, the first page of the reports,
Yeah.
I'm having trouble. 5101 and 51 or 5201.
Yes.
Okay. And then, so there's $22,000 or $22,201,000 basically there, right? And if you go through all the water stuff, then you go to the cash summary, we're bringing in $66,000 a month.
Yep.
Is that correct? Okay.
Yep.
Out of that, what are we spending to pay the bills that are due on that?
When you're looking at the cash summary, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the seventh column over that says expenditures. That tells how
Okay.
much we've spent out of that fund.
Okay.
So the water operating, we took in 19,000, almost 20,000, and we spent 14. And so you can kind of look at it that way.
Well, I can't look at anything. It's not letting me. Okay. So I'm on a different computer and it's not letting me pull things up. But so my question was, but the 66,000 is John True on?
I don't think so.
Okay. My question was that we had 66 coming in, right?
Yes.
When we had that meeting with, we talked about the water and stuff, we were talking about that Portage County would charge us like 48 a month, right? 48K. Is that
Right.
how you guys, Matt and Ben, is that how you remember it?
Does that include the recapitalization cost of about 25,000 a month?
Well, that was at the lower, I looked at it as when we have to, if for $12 million times plus interest, you end up with $20 million over 40 years. Divide that up, it ends up at $48,000 a month. So my question is, if we're bringing in 66, are our bills going to end up being lower with the issue with Portage County?
No, I don't think so. Some people might be a little lower after a while, but with our budget and the revenue from the billing and the surcharge, it's a little over $1.1 million. And even if you add in that recapitalization cost and you divide that into that, that's like 3 years, it's a little, almost 3 years of recapitalization cost. Of course, you won't do that. You take about half of that.
Okay.
And then the 3%, where are they going to take that 3% off? So if we're getting in 66,000 and they're saying they need 48, that's interesting to me.
Oh, you're saying that they could do a 3% increase, right? Every year?
No, it's in there that they will.
Okay.
It's in there that they will 3% increase every year. And there was another thing that I didn't particularly like.
And Ben, I'm going to stop you there. I was talking about there's 3% of interest every year, not just raising it. It's $12 million initially, 3% of interest on that makes it 20 million over 40 years.
I understand.
So they can still raise it 3% as well. There's 2 times that they say 3%, but I was talking about when you do the math.
Right. I understand that. I was just wondering how they were going, what were they going to put that 3% on? You know, where were they going to apply it? Or are they going to apply it to, the surcharge only, or are they going to apply it to the surcharge up before they deduct anything?
I felt like the 3% is just their normal rate increase for all customers. I didn't know that they could put a 3% increase on the surcharge. I thought the surcharge would decrease every year and the 3% increase was for their base rate. Do you know, Michelle?
Yeah, I'm going to try to explain it. So the surcharge is not intended to increase, but there's a cap on the surcharge for our comfort, so that if like the construction price index goes up like crazily, I think that was one of the things that it could go up by as much as the construction price index, or it could stay the same, or it could decrease, or it could go up. But this is just the cap, and the cap is just there for our comfort, so that we know the commissioners can't arbitrarily raise the surcharge from $60 to $100 in 1 year. So the cap is just there.
The cap is at 3%.
That's what I mean.
Okay.
So it's listed there, but that doesn't mean it's actually going to go up that much. It's just there for our comfort, so that we know they can't arbitrarily just say, well, we want to make it, $100 instead of 60 1 year.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's the way that I understood it too. I thought it was just a cap at 3% if it were to go up. It's not like every year it just goes up 3%.
Correct.
It's just if it has to go up, it gets capped at 3%. And is it only 35 years instead of 40? Wasn't that part of it too?
I think it's supposed to be 40, because when they recalculated it at lower years, the cost went up more than you would expect. It was almost like an exponential increase. So they kept it at 40. And they said if we wanted to reduce the years and make the surcharge go up, they would consider that down the road. But I don't think that was figured in yet.
Okay, because I thought like back, see, there's just a lot of numbers and a lot of moving parts of this thing. I thought like back when, yeah, like back when we were talking about the 6% cap, because it was a 6% cap.
Mm-hmm.
We got that down to 3. Then I thought part of the deal was to get it down to 3 was to make it 35 instead of 40. I could be off.
You'd have to ask Gene. I don't remember that.
Yeah.
I don't remember that being the fact.
I thought that was part of the negotiation that one Friday morning.
Well, drop him an email tomorrow and see what he says, so that you can answer by council.
I'm sure it's in the stack of documents that we have here, you know.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
he could just pull it out of his head really quickly instead
Sure.
of spending an hour and a half looking through documents.
Yeah,
Right.
'cause there's almost 300 pages of those
Yeah,
documents.
there's a lot of documents.
There's a lot of,
I was
So-
just looking at, hey, we're already bringing in more money than Portage County would be asking us to pay.
I agree.
Mhm.
I agree.
So, yeah, so is that a savings or not? You know, it
I
gotta
don't
be.
see that it is. I agree with you, Tammy. The, another little small insignificant item probably is we got that trail that you park at the water plant and you have to walk across their parking lot, hit that trail. One of the Boy Scouts did a Zigapod. We got a lot of people walk that trail. There's decks out there where you can on benches you can sit on. People go out there, clear the rain because of the day's work. But they got a
Observation
little
deck.
article in there that you can't come on their property without permission. So if anybody wanted to walk that trail, what do they got to do? They got to call them up and say, I want to be there tomorrow afternoon about 3 o'clock to walk.
Uh-uh.
I mean, since I know
It's the, you can walk in the like street part area, right? I mean,
When if this passes, when we transfer it, I believe we discussed there's going to be recreational easements across the property. So it should,
they should be.
yeah, that wasn't going to be a problem because we had talked about
I didn't get around to reading that,
early on.
but I've read that thing about all I want to, though. Hadn't changed my mind one bit about it. All right.
okay.
I will say this though, real quick, just my conversation with Congressman Joyce. In order to attract serious business to this town, you need a good water and sewer system, period. That was like, that's at the top of all these companies' businesses list, is good water and sewer. So just like to throw that out there before we change subjects.
All righty. Are we done with the MOU? It's coming up, so we can just blow right by it because we've
Okay.
already ran through it. All right.
Wait, I got one more quick question about the reports here. Just because IT related things, you know, always
Okay.
grab my attention. What is the TAC computer? What's TAC? That's police, right?
Yeah,
Tax-
that's the one for the police department.
Yeah.
They're a lot fancier than the ones on our side of the building. They
Yeah.
do so much more.
Yeah.
I
And who
can
do they
tell
get
you
that from?
about it, but
Is there a certain company they get that from? You know, offhand?
that's the name of the company.
Oh,
TAC.
TAC. Okay, I thought TAC was like the role of the computer, like it was like the computer's purpose was TAC. I got you. All right, that's cool. Thank you.
I always think lock in, tag out, you know, tag in, tag, that's all.
Yeah.
Okay. The bill, all right, review of legislation.
No.
We got to do a motion to send the financial reports to.
Oh, yeah, motion to send financial reports and the bills of resolution to council in the minutes.
Just the financial reports.
Financial report.
I'll second your motion.
Ah,
Aye.
Aye.
all right. Review of legislation.
Wait, we didn't do the bills yet.
We didn't? All right, review of the bills of resolution. Anybody got any questions about them? I don't.
One thing I did want to say, it's line 46, Treasure, Ohio EPA. That is for a permit, and Don from the EnviroLink said that we really needed to pay that now instead of waiting for council because our permit expires soon. So I did go ahead and cut that check today and get it in the mail.
Okay. You got a bill, you pay the bill.
Right.
Do we need to move the bills of resolution to council?
Yep.
So moved.
Second.
Ah,
Aye.
Aye.
all right. Y'all have to bear with me. I've had a long, hard day, so I'm a little slow today.
It's okay.
Review of legislation. Ordinance 2020-30 has been tabled as an ordinance amending chapter 504 of the zoning ordinance of the village of Mantua relating to the authority of the planning commission and the board of zoning appeals to waive fees. I assume that's still tabled.
I think we
All
have the
right.
public hearing for that, don't we, Michelle, right before this month's meeting?
Yeah, you sent that notice in like ages ago, right?
Yeah.
And it is set for public hearing, so that's going to have to be on table this month, this one and the next
That's
one.
at the council meeting.
At
And
council,
now the
Right.
public hearing starts right at 6:30 and then the council meeting follows it.
Yep.
Right? So I don't think you have to log on early. If you want, I'll double check the email that I sent to the paper and make sure, and then I'll remind everybody.
Okay.
So we got a public meeting before the council and that's at 6:30.
Yes, I think so, but I'm going to double check.
is.
Well, we normally start the council meeting now at 6:30.
Right.
Right, but there's never a lot of input at the public hearing, so there's not a point in setting them at 15 minutes ahead of time. If you do, then you just have 11 and a half minutes of dead air waiting
They
for the meeting
typically
to start.
they last about 2 or 3 minutes and that's
Exactly.
it.
So
I
6:30.
agree, I know. All right, moving on to ordinance 2020-31, and it's tabled. An ordinance amending chapter 610 of the zoning ordinance of the village of Mantua relating to the site plan review submittals. I don't know, are they planning to bring that off the table too, this meeting?
Yes,
Okay,
same thing. Yep, public hearing, take it off the table. It's third reading.
take it off table before the public meeting?
No, once it comes up on the agenda.
Okay, moving on to ordinance 2020-41, an ordinance appropriating funds to run the village of Manaway during the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2021, and declaring an emergency. This is second reading. We've been through this and through this and through this. I know that Tammy and Matt may not have, but the rest of us have. Does anybody have any questions? I believe the department heads and Jenny and everybody's happy and satisfied with it, so.
The only thing that may come up is depending on the ballot issue, if for some reason if it passes, then we can amend these appropriations and get rid of all the water and sewer ones. And if it fails, then we have them in place. So I don't know. We might just make a quick amendment at our November council meeting.
You're talking about amending it, saying if that ordinance passes or fails.
Yeah, we may need to amend it.
Okay, yeah, we will.
But other than that, I don't think there's any need for a workshop, and we haven't set one.
No, there's no need for it. God, good gracious, we've been over it 10 times probably. Anyway, moving on. Ordinance 2020-42, a resolution authorizing certain funds transferred by the clerk treasurer between the water and sewer operating funds and their respective debt services, reserve funds necessary to meet the debt service requirements. This is done every year.
And that may fail in November too, depending on things. We'll
Right.
see.
If it does, I don't know if anybody's read that ballot yet, but I have, and I've already voted. I think the referendum will fail because the way it's worded, they don't even speak to the referendum. They just talk about the county's ability to run the plants. But to pass the referendum is a vote no, and I don't think people really understand that, but that's neither here nor there either. All right, ordinance 20. Okay, ordinance 2020-43, adoption of a calendar for 2021. We have to do this every year. It just is stating when we're going to have the committee meetings and council and stuff. Moving on to ordinance 2020-45, a resolution authorizing a memorandum of understanding with the Portage County Commissioners related to the proposed amendment to ordinance 2019-49, the Manaway Village County of Portage Water and Sanitary Sewer Systems Transfer Agreement and declaring an emergency. And it's still riding on the third reading. Is the council meeting going to be after the vote? It will be after November 3rd vote.
Well, no, our third reading is Tuesday because we
This
had our
coming
second.
Tuesday?
Yeah, so we make our decision Tuesday.
Okay. All right. I have nothing else about that particular ordinance or resolution. We talked about it for quite a bit earlier on. So unless someone's got something else, I'll move on. Ordinance 2020-46, an ordinance authorizing renewal of the agreement for the use of the portion of the Gerald Buca Park Lodge by the American Legion Post 193. I've got no problem with that. We've been doing that. It was probably ever since that building's been there. And they've been in there for that long too. If anybody got an issue with that,
No, sir.
if not, let's move on then. Ordinance 2020-47, an ordinance authorizing an advance from the general fund number 1,000 to the Booker Park Walking Trail Fund for number 4201 and declaring an emergency. They're
Okay,
gonna do some work down there. They've already done some work. I think we got to pay them for paving. Is that right, Jenny?
Yep, his bill is about 19,000. We still have some money left in there that the DMRC gave us for our local match. So we're just advancing this money, and as soon as we get the reimbursement, we can pay the general fund back.
Good. Advancement gets paid back, the transfer
Yes.
does it?
Yes,
That's correct. Okay. In case y'all, Matt and Tammy didn't know that, that's how that works.
Very
I
good.
walked the trail the other day. It was nice. The round.
Yeah, I was in charge of the first phase of that thing around by Line.
Good job.
All right. Ordinance, I'm losing my place.
2048.
Ordinance 2020-48, an ordinance authorizing certain adjustments to the 2020 appropriations and declaring an emergency.
that's just appropriating all the CARES Act money.
Okay, I forgot that one. And then we might get. All right, moving on to ordinance 2020-49, an ordinance amending section 45007 of the zoning ordinance of the village of Mantua relating to the illuminations of signs. I am not too aware of this. Is anybody else aware of this? This came in late today, so I don't know much about it.
Tammy's on planning, so she could fill us in.
So basically what we want to do is under section 2, signs shall not be internally illuminated. So any new construction cannot have an internal lit sign. Anyone who takes down a sign, the sign changes other than normal maintenance is not allowed to have an illuminated sign.
Internally illuminated sign.
Internally illuminated, correct. You
Yeah,
can have-
so when you mean internally illuminated, so it's like the steel frame that has the bulbs inside of it and the pieces of plastic that are painted that covers up each side. That
Correct.
looks like a convenience store on Pro Road in Parma or something like that.
Right.
Okay. And the alternative to that is what, like just like a sign that the light shines on or something like that?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. Or
So,
something
and it's,
neon or something, just not that plastic thing
Right.
that you see at a plaza in Streetsboro.
right.
Gotcha.
Okay. I went to regional planning for 10 years every Wednesday, and Paul Jensen went for a year, then I went another year, and the whole time I was there, they were working on signs. I don't know if they ever got it completed. Signs are tough.
Well, and you'll see that we put the language, Michelle made sure the language was signs shall not be internally illuminated. Done. It's not ambiguous. It's just not.
So if a sign's inside the store, they can't light it up. It's got to be on the outside and they can light it. Is that correct?
Inside or outside, they can light it. They just can't light it. You can't have we'll just use Circle K has their sign lit inside, right? If somebody comes in and smashes that down and knocks it all over, to rebuild it, they would have to rebuild it to this new ordinance.
All right, that's good. Signs are tough.
Normal maintenance, not a problem. You know, they got to change out things, they can still have it.
All right. Moving on to 2020-50, an ordinance amending various sections of chapter 480 of the zoning ordinance of the village of Mantua relating to the exterior property maintenance. I don't know what they're changing.
We changed for mowing, basically. You've got a parcel, there's parcels you can't get to, like behind Mantua Station Drug. It's kind of hard to say you have to mow that and maintain it if you can't get to it, because there's no streets attached to it. So it's changing to it has to have parcel street frontage.
Just so what has to be mowed is what is out front can be seen.
No, it could be in your backyard too, but it has to have street. If your property has street frontage, it has to be maintained.
Okay. Okay.
If you can't get to your property because it's landlocked by other things and there's no street frontage to it, then you don't have to maintain it.
Michelle and I can tell you a lot about that exterior maintenance code. We were on planning a few years back, and boy, that was exciting. All right, moving on.
Wait, hang on a second here. I'm not understanding what changed here. I'm just reading this. Grass and weeds on improved parcels and parcels fronting. Explain this one more time, please. I'm sorry.
Okay, so let's say you had a piece of property in the village that was landlocked. Somebody's around all the sides, but you happen to own this. You don't have to maintain that, mow it and all that stuff because you can't physically get to it from, it doesn't have street frontage. If it has street frontage, you got to maintain it.
Okay. Okay, so the change there was,
All right.
okay, we're good.
Street frontage.
Yeah, we're
And then
good.
the other change was for ground hazards. Not on any.
Okay, I have one question, not even probably related to our committee here, but it's what's the recourse if somebody doesn't maintain their street frontage property?
Eventually, no.
Yeah, we have a kind of a system, letter from the zoning inspector. Oh, in general, zoning violations are minor misdemeanors that can be cited into court. Specifically with the grass cutting one, if the village follows its notice procedure, we can actually mow it ourselves and then assess the property taxes. So there's a couple of different remedies, particular grass one. Zoning violations in general are just a ticket citation into court.
And we have assessed taxes before.
Right.
Yeah. This was going to be something that I was going to be focused on going into next year, kind of once we get some of this other stuff behind us, looking, towards, other things that we're going to work on economically, quite frankly. And there's some things that I see as I go through town where I'm like, this needs to be cleaned up here before we could be serious about any of this stuff. I mean,
and it's getting addressed in planning.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
All right. Everybody happy? Good.
Yep, I'm happy now.
All right, ordinance 2020-51, an ordinance amending section 15905 and 15909 of the codified ordinance of the village of Mantua relating to quorum meetings and activity reports of the Historical Landmarks Commission. I don't, someone else can help more with this. Tammy, do you know more about this than I know something about it.
I do. Just that you have to have a quorum, quorum. How many people do we have on council? Let's say we had 5 on council, right? You have to have a quorum to pass anything, right? If there was a seat empty, there's still 5 seats of council. You still have to have the quorum. The same as if there was 5 members.
All right. Okay. I heard about this thing, but that's good enough. I understand what you're saying. All righty.
So just because I'm just trying to work through all this legalese, I'm trying to learn here, So what we're saying is there's the potential for a quorum to be only 3 people, and you're saying you need at least a minimum of 4. Is that what's going on here?
Here's what happened at the last meeting of Landmarks Commission, because it's a 7-person There are 7 seats on that commission, but they only have 5 members right now. So only 3 members showed up to their Zoom meeting. So they were under the impression that they could start their meeting with only 3 out of 5 members, that was a quorum. And I'm like, I don't think so. I think you need 4 out of your 7. But it wasn't really clear in the legislation that governs the Landmarks Commission. So this amendment is meant to make that crystal clear. 4 people, no less.
I interpreted that correctly.
Yay.
Yeah, that's correct.
And you have to go now.
As a reward for interpreting that correctly, I will now make you host.
Bye, Michelle.
Bye.
Have a good night, kids.
You too. Is there any other discussion? Any other new or other business?
No?
Nope.
Nope.
And I need a motion to adjourn.
I'll
I
make a
will make that
motion to adjourn.
I'll second her motion.
Ah,
Aye.
all right, you guys have a good evening. Take care of
You too.
yourselves
Bye.
too.
Thank you. You too, sir.
Bye.
Good night, Tammy. Good night, Jenny.
Good night.
Aye.
Good night.